Hello, it's Ryan from Fiverr.com. Thanks again for ordering the Tablature. I really appreciate it. And as promised, here's my video, the explanation of what I've done and what I've sent you. So what I'm looking at right now is the tabs that I sent you, and your comments before your comments. Okay, so first things first, I thought what I'd do is I'd give my thoughts on the song. And that is that it's a great song. I love the Human Abstract, especially the Digital Veil and the most recent stuff. I think they're phenomenal artists. But I will say that this particular track, and the rest of the EP for that matter, it was recorded some time ago, and the recording quality in terms of the mixing and the mastering of the track, in my opinion, are absolutely awful, and it's terrible. It's so bad. If you feel differently, then I'm sorry, but in my opinion, I think the mastering and the recording itself is just atrocious, and for that reason, this was a harder song to tab out. The audio is not very clear, the parts are not very lucid, they're not very consistent. In fact, there's a few instances, especially during that one sweep riff, the one that you had questions about actually, and this following, whatever that is, that's not consistent either. There's a little part that I'll touch on later that I thought was very odd. So so I'm going to repeat this during the video. I'm going to keep saying that the recording is terrible, and I am sort of blaming it for the harmonies being pretty shitty at times. So, but let's get into it. You have your intro, which I think is dead on. I think I nailed that. Whatever that is. I haven't played this or listened to this song since you sent it to me. I've been really busy, so sorry again for the wait. But that's all fine and good. So your main riff, I think, is pretty solid. There's a part you'll notice in the tabs during when the drums come in, the double bass, and it's just an open chord. And then I've written in quotations, or parentheses rather, pick slide. Guitar Pro doesn't have an efficient way of representing a pick slide on audio, so I just put a four beat rest there. You can fill in the rest. You know what a pick slide is. I saw your videos, by the way. Very impressive. You obviously know what you're doing. So just something to take note of. Then you've got your main run. Whatever that is. The following riff, I think, is pretty accurate. That following part, I think that's pretty good. And then you have this. And that's a good example of what a harmony should sound like. They're all major thirds and minor thirds, and they sound very good, and everything's in tune, and it sounds great. So that is exactly what we want a harmony to sound like, and that part is great. The following riff, though, you had written in a comment, measure 27 to 28, the harmony sounds pretty awful. Is it a half step off on one part, or is it really that? Throughout the song, it seems like it should be shifted to 8 and forward. So okay. So the harmonies are pretty bad at that part, and I'll explain to you why I came up with what I did. I'm very used to writing harmonies in this style of music. I understand what they should sound like, whether they're thirds, fifths, sevenths, fourths, anything. But they usually are consistent throughout the entire riff, and rarely will you have something, as in what I've written, where you have, let's see. So you have your thirds, and they match up well, but then instead of having instead of the harmony, the notes played together sounding like, you'll have like on fourths and seconds and weird stuff going on, and that doesn't happen very often, and especially knowing the Human Abstract, this isn't something that they would do, I don't think. So the reason that I came up with what I did is because when I listened to the audio, they split it left and right, guitar 1, guitar 2 in each headphone, and I was listening to each part separately and tabbing it out, and then I was listening to them collectively and tabbing it out, and it kept sounding different when I brought them together. So what you're hearing when you play it at the same time, it sounds odd, but that is a reconciliation of both parts separately that I heard put together. Then when you hear them together in the actual song, it actually does sound good, and it sounds like this isn't what's going on. So I'm going to leave this part up to you for your interpretation. You're a good enough guitar player, I think, where you'll be able to adjust or figure it out. But for example, I've got, let's see, on the one part, and the second part, oh fuck, hold on. Second part you've got, and that doesn't line up traditionally with what we think of as harmonies. So please feel free to adjust it. What I've given you is a shell of what the harmonies sound like to me, and it would be very easy to adjust them so that they're all consistent thirds. If you would like that done, I could certainly give it a try. Just shoot me a message, I'll do that. But I'm going off of what I heard off of the song, and I agree with you. It doesn't sound very good. So that's up for you. I'll let you do with that what you want. And then you have that after the hook. You have this. And at the first part of the song, it sounds like he's hitting this 14th fret. But later on, when he does it, it sounds like he's going straight to the 15th. Twice. So again, that's an inconsistency in the playing and the mixing and the recording. Just a shit overall recording. But again, do with it what you will. I think what I've given you is close enough to where you can make the adjustment if you need to based on what you hear. So that's that part. Okay, we'll move on. So then you get to this chord progression. Now, a lot of the times, well, sometimes the Human Abstract will write in drop tunings. I chose to tab this song out in a standard tuning because when I was looking at the discography of this EP in particular, I noticed that most of the songs were written in standard for whatever reason. Excuse me. Whatever reason. So, while this chord's much easier played in a drop tuning, I thought to myself that, judging by the rest of the songs on the album and this main riff, it's better. It was better transcribed into standard tuning, so I hope you don't mind that. We'll move on. So you got your repeat, your repeat, your repeat. Easy. Alright, and then we get to this riff. So this part, you'll notice there is two different things going on. However, I think I nailed this, listening to them separately and putting them together. This is measure, for your reference, this is measure 73. You'll notice that there's 16th note runs in both parts, but they happen at different times. In the lead guitar part, you have... So you have that quick... And that's fine. So that happens earlier. In the rhythm guitar, your 16th note run of notes happens right at the end. So they happen at different times, but when blended together, it sounds really cool, and I think that this was an intentional move by them. And I also think I got it right. So I would say that part is good, even though the harmonies aren't adding up exactly proportionally well. I think that's accurate. And then you have your little sort of bridge breakdown. And then there's this fill. I'll be honest, this is at measure 86. I'm looking at the rhythm guitar part because the lead guitar is doing that little lead line, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the rhythm guitar, starting at measure 86, is going to sound, what I've written, it sounds like. So, and then the following time when it repeats, there's an added 5th fret. So I was listening to this, and because of the shit recording, I'm going to blame it on the recording again, I could not for the life of me figure out what was going on between the open note and the little... So what I did in Guitar Pro is I just did a slide, a gradual slide from the open up to the 7. So you have... It will suffice if you're playing this with a drummer or with another guitar. It'll sound fine. If you're playing along with the song, it'll be indistinguishable. But in terms of the actual guitar part, again, the audio was so off and so fuzzy that I wasn't able to hear exactly if there's a riff going on or some sort of line. So, again, I hope that works out. Listen to the way that Guitar Pro plays it back to you to get it, because it does. I wrote it so that it plays it back well, and between this and the song, you should be able to at least make it sound exactly the same. And then you have your and then there's a little bass lick there. Then there's this cool chord here. It's here it is. Nope. Guitar Pro again doesn't do a very good job of making this sound the way that it's played, but I put the palm mutes in so you can kind of get a feel for it. So at this part, I tabbed it consistently as that chord, just the same chord. Although I couldn't decide when I was listening to it whether or not he was playing this variation chord, which instead of using the 7th fret on the A string, I'm using the 10th fret on the A string, and all the others remain the same. So you get it's a tiny bit different. There's a little minor third added instead of the regular bass note, and then you're going to hear later on what sound. So there's this odd. That's in the top of the chord. It sounds really cool. But then it sounds like later on in the song they're just going like they're switching it, doing a little slide. Something like that. Again, use your discretion. I'm 99.9% sure that the chord shape is taking place around this area where I've tabbed it. But again, take it upon yourself to change it how you will. I think this is just a good shell. This is a good base for you to do whatever you want with it. And then you have your little... a little fill. This part seemed pretty good to me. And then there's an outro. There's an outro fill, or not fill, harmony, an outro harmony, which hasn't occurred so far through the entire song, and so it was very weird. I was tapping and out thinking, this is different. This isn't what they usually. This isn't what they've been doing, but this is what I've came up with instead of your regular. The harmony is going to sound like. Something like that. You'll be able to see. I haven't played this in a while. These are pretty tough, and I suck. So, but again, that sounds very weird. It's not going to line up, just like in measure 27 or whatever it was. It's not going to line up the way that a usual harmony does. But I tabbed this out ear by ear and put it together, and it sounds kind of the same. But it's in the ballpark. So, bottom line is, I would say about 85–90% of this is accurate. As close as possible to what is actually being played by the band. And then there's instances here and there where, due to the quality of the recording, I wasn't sure about what I was doing. I wasn't sure about the actual harmonies that were taking place. So I did my best to transcribe ear for ear and blend them and see if I could come up with something that made sense. And a lot of times it doesn't. And you've noticed that, which is great. So my thoughts going forward are, on the whole song, I think most of it's right. I think it's tabbed out fairly well. I'm patting myself on the back a little bit for making sense of the nonsense that was the recording. But there are some rough patches, as you pointed out, and so what I want you to be able to do is to take this, use it as a skeleton, and be able to run with it and change it if you need to. And reach out to me if you have questions about something. If I didn't address anything in the video, let me know what you think. And if you want to see a full playthrough of the song, for whatever reason, say so. I'll get to practicing and I'll polish it up and I'll send you one of those as well. I'm starting a new YouTube channel primarily for music and for videos like this, so I'll post it all there, and I'd love to show you. So once again, thank you so much for ordering. I really appreciate it. Please come back. Let me know if you have any other songs that you want to do. I was actually tabbing out Faust or whatever by the Human Abstract on my own time because I love that song. I used to know how to play it, and then I went away from it for a while, but I love that song, and I'm actually getting into it. So if you have any other songs you want me to look at, please don't hesitate to ask. Tell your friends. Drop me a good review if you'd like, and I really, really appreciate the sales. So thanks so much. It's been great working with you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Shoot me a message if you need anything, if you have any questions, and we'll be in touch. So thanks a lot.